because I'm in the studio in my own room. Just to indicate that I wear the mask, of course, because I think it's important that we continue to lead by example, and we are asking our people when they go out in public to wear a mask. You don't have to wear it all the time, but certainly when you're around people, the preference would be that you put the mask on and that you keep it on for your protection and for the protection of others. Let me start by wishing everybody a happy Labor Day. It is not something that we know traditionally is celebrated with any pomp and circumstance on the island of Nevis, but I know on our sister island of St. Kitts it's a big deal, and I would want to wish all the workers and all the people, particularly those who have been on the front line in this COVID-19 pandemic, a happy Labor Day. Just to indicate, of course, to one and all that this show is a new show. It is something that we've decided to do every Sunday from 4 until 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon, in order to provide information to the general public, in order to answer questions. We have recognized that oftentimes there are more questions than answers, and that we have to sometimes repeat for those who may not have been listening the first or second or third time, but certainly to try our best to ensure that accurate information is disseminated. And so this is from 4 to 5:30 each Sunday afternoon, and we will do this so long as this pandemic lasts, so long as we do not yet have the all clear from our health professionals. And so I ask you to persevere with me and with the situation. I have said and continue to say that I recognize that this is a difficult situation for everyone. People are locked down. This weekend is another lockdown weekend, and so I can anticipate that for some it is quite frustrating. I have had messages from folks who are saying that they really need to get out of the house. This is now ridiculous. This isn't working. They're frustrated. And I suppose, harsh as it may sound, my response often is, do you prefer to be dead? Because the truth is, as much as you're frustrated now, this too shall pass. And what we need to ensure is that we do not get ourselves worked up so that we forget what it is we're seeking to do, which is to prevent people from getting sick and to prevent people from dying. Those have to be the most critical things that any government or any people are concerned about: the preservation of life, the preservation of health. And so that is what we have been focused on, and that's what we'll continue to be focused on. Now, I have the latest numbers for you, as I often do. We now have 24 persons in quarantine. We have tested 98 persons. These are numbers for Nevis. Let me be specific. We have 24 persons in quarantine. We have tested 98 individuals. We have had 94 negative results. We've had 4 positive results. We have released 214 persons from quarantine. And for me, the most important number here, we have 0 pending results. So let me go over that again. We have 24 persons in quarantine. We have tested 98. We have 94 negative results, 4 positive results. We've released 214 persons from quarantine, and a significant number, we have 0 tests that are pending. Of the 4 positive results, we have all known about those. The last one was on the 7th of April. And so we've now gone a full 3 weeks. And 3 weeks is 21 days. That will take us to the 28th. I believe that today is the 3rd of May. Am I correct in that? And if I'm correct, yes, it means that we would have gone a full 26 or so days without any new infections. And so we're going now almost on a month, and I am delighted with that number. Other places are talking about flattening the curve. We want to eliminate the graph altogether, and that is what we're seeking to do here on the island of Nevis and in the wider Federation. And so we thank again our frontline. We thank again our COVID task force here in Nevis, led by Dr. Judy Nisbet. She and her team have done an excellent job for us, and we are very grateful to them. They have been working 24 hours a day, 2 shifts at the EOC, and I am delighted, absolutely delighted with the effort that has been made so far, and there is no praise that is too much for them and for their effort. 4 positive cases, the position for positive cases to be put into the category of recovered, they must do 2 tests. Both must come back negative, I'm advised that they have already done the first test, and those first tests have been negative. They must now do the second one, also to come back negative, and I'm told that that is being taken care of. If this goes the way that we all would like it to go, I would expect in the coming week to be able to declare that all 4 have been recovered, and that Nevis therefore would have had no new cases, no people who are in recovery mode, because they would have been marked as recovered, and that would therefore leave us only with those in quarantine. Now, as we are aware, the number in quarantine has jumped, and that is because the government took a decision, that is at the federal level, to bring home the students, St. Kitts Nevis students who were studying in Jamaica. I've gone on record to thank the Prime Minister, Dr. Harris, and the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, the Honorable Sean Richards, for their effort in this regard. And as a consequence, we brought home well over 50 students from Jamaica. The reason that I gather was that Jamaica had become a bit more difficult in terms of the environment, because, of course, we had seen numbers there escalating, particularly in some areas. I believe the St. Catherine area was an area where we saw numbers escalating. And I think there was a fear that our students there were at a heightened risk for contracting COVID. And so that decision was taken to fly those students home. It came at a considerable cost, some $75,000 US was what was spent to bring them home. And those students have now to be put in quarantine, and have been put in quarantine. And so the number of 24 that we have in quarantine here, in the majority of those are the students who came home, the Nivision students who came home from Jamaica, who have been quarantined. I am grateful that, again, through the hard work of our health professionals who treated this with maximum urgency, we were able to secure proper accommodation. We had a quarantine site already, but we had to get additional accommodation for the students, and we were able to accommodate them all. Now, I appeal to our students, please, to be responsible and to be disciplined. Being quarantined is not an easy thing to be. I had my own 2 daughters in quarantine. I know that they're anxious to get out and to do things, but it is a necessary thing. We have had to post security at the quarantine site. Both the police and army have been deployed there, but we are hopeful that that will not be necessary, and that the students will conduct themselves responsibly, understanding, of course, that because they've come from Jamaica, and because Jamaica has had a spike in some areas in cases, that there is a natural caution or precaution that is being taken by having them quarantined. And so, students, I appeal to you, and I appeal to your family members to appeal to you, that you be responsible. Don't try to jump over the wall in the dead of night to go and see anybody, because if you do so and the police catch you, they're going to lock you up. And I don't want that to happen. So let us continue to be responsible. The quarantine period is 14 days at least, and we hope that once that quarantine period is over, that students will be released, tested as the case may be, as dictated by the health professionals. And so we continue to do that. But I am very encouraged by the numbers that we're seeing in Nevis. Thus far, 98 tested, 94 negative, 4 positive, and we've released 214. And we're prayerful that the 4 positive will shortly be treated as recovered, which would mean that absent new testing, we have no new cases and no new tests that we are awaiting. And so we thank again our health professionals, but we also thank Almighty God for sparing us. We thank Him for His mercy and His grace towards us. Many take it for granted. I often say that we are not deserving, but He in His wisdom has continued to bless the people of Nevis, and for that we are truly grateful. Let me go quickly to the question of schools. The Honorable Sean Richards, our Deputy Prime Minister and Federal Minister of Education, he would have given an address in relation to our schools, indicating that the decision has been taken that the schools shall remain closed. This is again being guided by the health professionals, and the reason that the schools are being kept closed is because, by their nature, schools are environments where lots of children in particular come together. And so we are trying our very best to ensure that our children are not exposed, and we do not encourage any mass gatherings. Of course, the norm now is the physical distancing, staying apart up to 6 feet from each other. Children, being children, it is difficult to enforce that. It is difficult sometimes even with adults. So with children, it is even more difficult, and as a consequence, the decision has been taken to delay the reopening of schools. As we have said and continue to say, and I believe our own education officials in Nevis have been on air, I've encouraged that they come often to update you and to allay any concerns or fears that you might have. We have merely moved school now to a virtual platform. And the idea is that using Flow Study, our parents, our teachers, and our students will engage to ensure that there is no, if you will, a lowering of the standard or any diminishing returns when it comes to the education of our people. And that applies to students at the primary level all the way up to the high school level. And so we continue to encourage that. We have had it explained to us that a survey was done prior to the close of school. We are aware of those students who do not have access to a computer or other device in their home. We are aware of those homes that do not have internet access, and we have decided that we will supply each student who does not have with a laptop or device. I'm told it's a tablet that will be provided, and we are providing each home that doesn't have internet with an internet connection. So no child will be left behind, no person will be left behind, and we will fight this pandemic together. These, ladies and gentlemen, are the new normal. This is what new normal looks like, and we must simply deal with it. I recall to someone recently that after 9/11, we certainly had now to take off shoes and put cosmetics in a plastic bag and all of this thing, and take off your belt, and sometimes your pants is falling down because your belt has to be taken off, your shoes taken off, take off your watch, and all these things that we never had to go through before. Airports around the world had to change the entire mechanisms and framework for operation. That became the new normal. We do it right now and we don't even think about it. Matter of fact, as you're going through, you're taking off your belt and shoes already before anybody even asks you to do so. And so, just so I think that this COVID-19 pandemic has brought to us a new normal, and that we will have to deal with it. And one of the ways that we will deal with it, no doubt, is the greater use of technology. And so I would want our youngsters and their parents and the schools and the teachers to understand that they have the fullest support of the government, and that these decisions to delay the opening of school are decisions that are being made to prevent any reemergence of COVID in our midst. And so that is where we are at this particular point in time. And so I wanted to just make that very clear that that is the position. Our fishermen were able to get some relief. You would remember, ladies and gentlemen, that in an effort very early on to deal with this COVID-19 pandemic, we as a government announced certain fiscal concessions. The federal government did so, and then the Nevis Island administration, we did so as well, recognizing that some of what the federal government announced was applicable more than likely to the island of St. Kitts, and that some was truly federal, national in nature. And so we had what we could do here on the island of Nevis as well. We on the island of Nevis recognized from very early that food security would have to become a priority. We recognize that because much of our food comes from overseas, that if those supply lines were disrupted, that our people would suffer. And so we set about very early to talk about it, and not just to talk, but to implement certain things. One of the things that we implemented was in relation to our fisher folk. We said that they should be able to get a roll of fish pot wire for free, and then subsequent rolls at 50% discount. I was very pleased to get the report from the Deputy Premier and Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, that he has made good on that commitment, and that we had a good shipment of wire that came in, and I believe it was on Friday last that fishermen were able to access. I'm told that some 60 or thereabouts fishermen, that was the original number that I had, that they were able to access the free roll of wire, and of course subsequent rolls being at 50% discount. And I would ask fishers out there who are mindful to take advantage of this opportunity to get in touch with the Ministry of Agriculture and or the Maritime Division. I suggest that they get in touch with Mr. Huey Sargent, who is a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. I want to go on record to congratulate the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. I think his leadership on this issue of food security has been stellar. He has done an incredibly good job. He and his team have really been out there. And just to recap, so that the public is reminded, that we have waived fees at the abattoir to encourage the animal farmers. We have provided now to our fishers free fish pot wire and 50% discount on subsequent rolls of fish pot wire. We have provided to our crop farmers free water for 6 months, free seedlings, free seeds, free fertilizer, free land preparation, and in many cases we're providing free labor through workers at the Agricultural Department. I think that as a small island rising to the occasion, that package has really been attractive. I'm particularly pleased that our farmers have responded, I'm told, and are taking advantage of the opportunity. And I would want to thank our farmers and to say to them that we will continue to work closely with them. There's a unique aspect as well to what has happened in Nevis, is that we have included backyard farmers. That is, if you're doing a little thing at your home, we've included you in that. And I'm told that backyard farmers have been provided with free seeds to assist them in their backyard endeavors. And so we are not leaving anyone out. The idea is to generate greater food production. In fact, so proactive have we been that I'm told that some crops which are short term in terms of their maturity are already now ready. So I'm told things like lettuce and all those are already now being available for harvest to ensure that our people have food to eat. I want to thank our farmers. I have received some messages from some of them. I have not yet responded to everyone, but I would want to show them that I will, and I will direct them to where is necessary to get help. We in the government are doing all that we can to ensure that our farmers are taken care of, and when they're taken care of, our food supply is secured, that our fishers are taken care of, that our livestock farmers are taken care of, and so that our food security is assured. If, God forbids, the tropical cargo boat cannot come, the containers cannot come from Miami, our people should not starve in their own country. And one of the lessons that we've learned from COVID, and a lesson that we must continue to take to heart, is that we need greater food security on the island of Nevis. And so we will continue in that vein. Now, one of the big projects that we had proposed for the island of Nevis prior to all this COVID-19 outbreak was the park at Pinnes. It's been talked about. It has gone through various iterations. The Taiwanese government has come forward to partner with us to produce this park, and it is supposed to be really a monument to the relationship between our two countries. It will be the first national park of its nature in the country, and we have had some delays occasioned by a number of factors, but the latest has been COVID. I'm very pleased, therefore, to announce that the EIA, the consultation on the environmental impact assessment, I'm told that that will happen right here on Von Radio, and that will be Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 5th of May, and that will happen at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. here on Von Radio on Tuesday, 5th May. They will have the EIA consultation. They will, of course, do it via radio where people can call with their questions and answers. It will last for about an hour or an hour and a half. The presenters will be Dr. Janice Hodge, Vincent Lai, and Camille Kelly. PS Tourism, John Handley, who has been charged with this project, will moderate. And so all the questions that you may have about the Pinnes Park, you can call in at 10 a.m. on Tuesday the 5th of May. The consultation is going to be done here at Von Radio live, because of course we are trying to avoid having to meet in any large gatherings. And so those of you who are interested in that project and who have questions, the expert from Taiwan, Vincent Lai, will be there. Camille Kelly, a local architect who's been working on the project, she will be there. Dr. Hodge, Janice Hodge, she will be there. She's the person who did the EIA and is best placed to answer questions. And the PS in Tourism, Mr. John Hanley, he will moderate this very important session. So Tuesday the 5th of May at 10 a.m. We are getting ready. We are hopeful that as the numbers permit and as the health professionals advise, that we can reopen slowly and cautiously. We're getting some of these projects ready to go because they were essentially ready before COVID intervened. And so the park at Pinnis is well and truly on, and we'll have the EIA this Tuesday right here on Vaughan Radio at 10 a.m. And so we ask that you call in and be a part of that. Now, a few other things before I open the lines and see if anyone has any questions for me. The government is clearly trying itself, the Nevis Island administration, to reopen and to take things slowly as we go. A memo has been sent out to all permanent secretaries and heads of departments, and that memo will say that Tuesday, that is the 5th of May, we reopen, but only for heads and senior staff. Heads of departments and senior staff. The line staff will be communicated with, as I said before, that all public servants are on call and they should await word from their superiors, their supervisors, their heads of department, their permanent secretaries, as to whether or not it is required for them to come in. But on Tuesday, all heads and senior staff are expected to report, and the idea is to use the coming week to prepare for a reopening of the NIA on May 11th. So the senior staff and the heads of departments are asked to come in on Tuesday, and we will then make preparations for a complete reopening on May 11th. Now, what does a complete reopening look like? I have cautioned that we must be cautious, and that despite the good news that we're getting from our health authorities, we cannot get ahead of ourselves, and we must ensure that we do not make the mistakes we've seen elsewhere, where a rush to reopen has led to a dreaded second wave of this dangerous virus, this COVID-19 virus. And so we are doing this in phases, that on Tuesday, May 5th, heads of departments and senior staff are expected to report to work. The days of this week will be spent preparing for a larger group of workers to come starting on May 11th, but it is likely that what we're going to continue to do is the physical distancing to ensure that in each department we have the required spacing that is now the norm, and further that we protect members of our staff and members of the public that come in to do business with the government. And so all of those arrangements are being put in place. And it is possible, we do not know yet, that we will introduce a shift system. So where there are ministries and departments which are large in terms of numbers of workers and the physical distancing is impossible, it may be that we introduce a shift system in order to allow that to happen. Our cleaners who work for the government, they will have more to do in terms of disinfecting, in terms of ensuring that the work surfaces are kept clean throughout the day, and that people coming in have the necessary disinfectant, hand sanitizers as the case may be. All of that will be put into place, that our people will be masked where necessary to ensure that as they're interacting with each other and with the public, that they're wearing the necessary protective mask over their nose and mouth, and all of these are now parts of our new normal. What we're seeking to do is not just to flatten the curve, as I've said, but to eradicate the graph altogether. We want to eradicate COVID from our midst. We have seen in, I believe it's New Zealand, where they have said that they are the first country in the world to eradicate COVID. We want to get to that stage as well, where we can say to our people, to the Federation, to the region, and to the world, that Nevis is COVID-free. And the only way we get there, ladies and gentlemen, is if you continue to do the hard things, the unnatural things, if you continue to be responsible, if you continue to be disciplined. We have to continue to work together in order to overcome this particular difficulty. And so the return to work on Tuesday the 5th of May, our department heads and senior staff, the NIA, will turn out to get the spaces ready for a reopening on May 11th, subject of course to social distancing, subject to a possible shift system, and subject to the advice that we get from our health professionals. That is the current position, and we will work on bringing that to some fruition. I want to thank the Guyanese community. A group of Guyanese persons calling themselves Concerned Guyanese, they stepped up in a major way and raised money amongst their community and have contributed a substantial amount of food stuff to needy persons here on the island of Nevis. I am very grateful to the Guyanese community, and I want to thank them wherever they are. I know there are pockets in my own constituency in places like Bath and Keene Garden and Pond Hill and areas such as those. I want to thank you wherever you are. The Guyanese community, you have come, you have been a part of us, you have made your contribution, and here when Nevis needs all of us, you have stepped up in a significant way to provide food from your own pockets for persons in the community who needed food. And I saw the substantial amount because I saw some photographs, not of the people receiving it, I want to emphasize that, but simply photographs of the food itself parceled out to go out to individuals. And I want to thank the Guyanese community. Concerned Guyanese, that's what I'm told they call the group, and I'm delighted that they've stepped up in a significant way to help the people of Nevis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think more of us need to do more to help each other. And as I said and continue to say, for some of us who have money, we contribute that. Some of us who have skills and talents, we contribute that. And for others who may have time, we contribute that. Bottom line is all of us must now ask ourselves what we can do to contribute, what we can do to help, what we can do to help the island of Nevis. That is what our mantra has to be. And so I am very, very pleased that the Guyanese community has stepped up in a major way in that regard. In that regard as well, let me continue to thank Mr. Ernest Amry and Amry Enterprises. He, of course, did the unprecedented, because he doesn't have a bakery in Nevis, but he reached across the pond, across the waters, and he said to the people of Nevis that he will provide every household with some bread. He has done so. I want to thank again the Deputy Premier, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, who took on board that particular project to ensure that every household on the island received bread from Amry's bakery. And guess what? Mr. Amry, I'm told, has indicated that he's going to continue to help, not in the same quantity, but that every week that he operates, he will send a quantity of bread to Nevis so as to ensure that the most vulnerable on the island are supplied continuously with bread during the course of this pandemic. And so for that generosity, I want to again thank Mr. Amry and Amry Enterprises. I think that that is huge because, as I said, they do not have a bakery on Nevis. And he could easily have said, let me extend my generosity only to St. Kitts because these are the people who support me. But instead, he has extended his generosity to the entire nation, including the island of Nevis. And for that, Mr. Amry, if you're listening, we are eternally grateful. Thank you. Let me also thank the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis stepped up in a major way on Thursday and donated some $15,000 towards testing. As you know, when we have these COVID tests, we have to pay. It's quite expensive because it adds up. And the Bank of Nevis has stepped up to say $15,000. Bank of Nevis, our bank, Nevision Bank, it bears the name of Nevis. And the board of directors, the management, the staff, they continue to show that they are truly committed to the island of Nevis. And I want to go on record to thank the board, to thank the general manager, my friend Mr. Martin, Everett Martin, to thank the staff for the significant contribution that they would have made. Some $15,000 towards testing for the island of Nevis. And for that, again, we are truly grateful. For all of those who have contributed and continue to contribute, many asking for nothing in return, we say thank you, and we will continue to be grateful to you. The CCM, Concerned Citizens Movement. As we know, the ministers of government have taken a pay cut. In my case, I have foregone my entire salary and benefits as Premier for the foreseeable future, until, as we have said, we see the back of this COVID-19 and we can declare victory. My ministers have decided that they will take a 10% cut in their salaries and benefits for the next 3 months and will evaluate it thereafter. The idea really was largely symbolic. The idea was to demonstrate that leadership must be prepared to incur some of the hardship that our people have been enduring. And we wanted to lead by example and to lead from the front, not from the back, but from the front. And that for us was important, and that's why we made this decision. It has attracted widespread regional attention, and many have been calling on their own leadership to do likewise. My own suggestion is that there is no need for that. That each country will do what it can do, and each leader and each cabinet must do what they can do. We do not know the circumstances for everyone, and it is unreasonable to demand that everyone does it the same way. There are many people who are already committed in terms of their salaries and benefits to the community that they serve. We still have our own bills, to be sure. I myself have 2 children at university. It is not cheap. And so people must understand that this one-size-fits-all that many are clamoring for, that is simply not possible. I and our ministers here at the NIA took a decision. It's a decision that, as I said, we felt was symbolic in many ways, but a decision that sent the right signal to our people that we are truly in this with you. We are truly in this together. And we were able, therefore, to deliver on that promise. My cut has already gone into effect. The cut for the ministers that will start in May and therefore run May, June, July in the first instance. And so that is the position that we find ourselves at. Now, we have not stopped there, but the ministers again and executive members of the CCM and others who have been motivated and encouraged by the effort that they see that we are making, we have put what we are calling a food relief fund together. Now, we donated, that is ministers from their own pockets, $13,500, and have committed to $13,500 every month for the next 3 months. That, I believe, works out to about $40,000, if my math is correct. And the idea there is that no family on Nevis should go hungry during this time of difficulty. We have decided that we will partner with the supermarkets to have this done. And one supermarket, ValueMart, has stepped up. We are discussing with them the availability of this program being administered through that supermarket in the first instance. ValueMart has stepped up, and ValueMart has also contributed. Then we've had some individuals in the executive of the party, who, that is the CCM party, who have said, listen, we want to do our part as well, and they have stepped up. We've had long-time supporters who have also decided, you know what, we want to do our part, and they have stepped up. I am very pleased, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I'm humbled that that $13,500 has, since the announcement, grown to $16,800. And so people have stepped up now to the tune of $3,300 additionally. That is in addition to the $13,500 that the ministers have contributed, that others have stepped forward. And so we are now at $16,800, which will be made available this month of April for groceries under our food program, our food relief fund. I think that that is significant. And if there are others out there who would want to join in this effort, then we encourage them to just get in touch with me, 662-6003. You can send me a WhatsApp message if you want to contribute to this effort. Now, how are we going to do this? We are taking the politics out of it. We do not plan to give you any groceries in any colored bag, or to go around and try to decide, well, who is who, or to take any picture with you. We do not believe that this is a time for party politics. We do not believe that if we are assisting people in need, the most vulnerable of our community, that they should become photo ops for politics. That we can then go on social media and say, look, I give this lady a bag of food, or I give that gentleman a bag of food. There is no fanfare about what we're doing because we're doing it from our hearts. We're doing it to help. And so we have decided that rather than going around and turning this into a political spectacle, that instead we will simply issue a voucher. And that individuals will be given a voucher, and they will use that voucher to go to the supermarket to pick up what they want. So let me say that again. Individuals will be given a voucher, which they will go to the supermarket and pick up what they want. That way, there is no photo op, there is no endangering anybody by getting up close to people to take photos for possible manifesto or to put on Facebook. There is no green bag, no blue bag, no red bag, no bag that is being handed out. There is nothing being inserted in the bag to say vote for me. We're not doing that. I have said that a time will come for politics, and when that time comes, the CCM is ready already, and that means we'll be more than ready when the time comes. We do not believe that this is the time for party politics, and we do not believe that we should use people's need in order to get a photo up for political purposes. That is not from the heart. We're saying if we're going to help each other, then let us do it as a brother would help a brother, as a sister would help a sister, as family. You see, that's why I'm so proud of the Guyanese community. They stepped forward, and they did what they had to do, and they helped so many. No fanfare, no big hullabaloo. I didn't see any photos and any photo ops. They helped people, and they will know who they helped. The rest of us don't need to know. Equally, this food relief fund that we've launched, we're now up to 16,800 EC dollars. We will help people with vouchers, and there is no need for anybody to know who has been able to access that assistance. And so we'll roll that out. We'll try to help as many people as we can. I'm advised that the number that we've settled on is $150. And so these vouchers will be valued to $150. Now, I'm told that there is no cash back. I believe that's an important point. So you cannot take the voucher and go by Value Mart and take up 2 bottles of water and say, okay, give me the rest in cash. No. You must, if you go, get $150 worth of food. And that also I ought to emphasize. The money is not for alcohol. It's not for cleaning supplies. It is for food. We have emphasized food because we think that that is one of the most critical needs right now, that no family goes hungry. And so if you get $150 to buy food, which we are told, because we did this with the benefit of some advice by our supermarkets, that $150 can buy you a good quantity of basic food items. And so if you are able to get $150 worth of food, we are hopeful that you would have whatever other little money you might have to purchase other things, if you want Clorox, if you want whatever. And certainly this is not intended to allow you to buy cigarettes or alcohol or anything of that nature. It's an effort to help, but as I said, there'll be no political overtones to it. There'll be no political layers put on it, because our effort is a genuine effort to help people. And so we want to make that very clear, and we're told that vouchers will start to go out as early as Tuesday, and we'll continue to do that for the months of May, June, and July, and then look again as to what we can do. Again, for those who may want to assist, they can call me, 662-6003. They can call any of the ministers of the cabinet who have made this possible and have jump-started this fund with $13,500, and they can make a contribution. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. And at $150 per person, we recognize that if you even gave $500, you're helping close to 4 people? Just under 4 people. 150 times 4 is $600, I believe. So you may want to determine how much you give. But if you're prepared to give, then join us, and we welcome that. And again, assure you that this will be done for the persons in the community who are most vulnerable. It is not intended to help people who have income, who have some money coming in and are otherwise more comfortable. We recognize that everybody has taken a hit, but this is really for those, the hotel worker who's out of work, the person who's at home, elderly, who might be sick, the person who has no income. And so we are trying to help the most vulnerable. No family on this island must go hungry in this time. None. And I'm very proud of my colleagues. I want to celebrate each and every one of them because, as I said, everybody decided that this was something that we wanted to do as a party, and we are thankful that others have stepped up and have contributed as well, members of the executive and others. And we are very, very grateful that the people of Nevis are going to benefit every penny from $16,800 worth of groceries this month, beginning on Tuesday. And if more money comes in, we will make more available. But at least you know that $13,500 is guaranteed for the next 3 months. And as people come on board, as they have done for the first month, we have $16,800 available in groceries, which people will benefit from. And to God be the glory. I'm very, very delighted for that. All right. Now, that brings us to about 20 minutes to the hour. We usually take about an hour of calls. So we're going to open the lines now and see if anybody has any calls for us. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers you can call if you want to be a part of the show, if you have any questions or comments, concerns, things that I've raised, things that I've forgotten to raise that you want raised. We certainly look forward to your calls. Just to indicate that, of course, the Prime Minister, no doubt, will speak to us again to indicate to us what the future is going to look like over the next week or so in terms of, again, curfews, partial curfews, lockdowns, as the case may be. Again, I know that the Cabinet is being guided by the technical advice that we're getting, and so we look forward to hearing him in due course. He has not yet made that speech. He made one this morning, but that was to do with Labor Day. He has not yet made that speech about what we can look forward to the next couple of days and weeks, so we'll wait to hear from the Prime Minister in that regard. So if you're calling to ask me, I don't yet have an answer on that because I won't speak ahead of him. He will have to speak, and then we follow. So let me go to the phones then and take some calls. Good afternoon. Hello?
Hello. Is it true Four Seasons going to last people?
Hello? I'm not hearing you properly.
Is it true Four Seasons going to last people?
Okay, well, thank you for that. That will be a decision for Four Seasons. I'm sure that they will speak to their staff in due course, but it would not be something that would surprise me because Four Seasons has effectively been closed now since March. They've had no business, nobody staying there. So we look at March, April, May. We were able to agree that they will pay their staff in full for March, April, and May. But I don't think that we could ask a company to continue to pay an entire staff indefinitely. So I do not have specifics as yet. I believe that Four Seasons will have a conversation with their staff and determine what the next steps are going to be. What I can say is that we are supportive of the staff at the Four Seasons. We have always been. We were there when the Four Seasons was closed last year for renovations. We have been there and will be there this year for any persons who are impacted by this COVID-19. It's not our fault, but we recognize that it is one of those things we'll have to deal with. And so, caller, I would expect that Four Seasons will be speaking to their staff, if they have not yet done so, that they will do so in due course. And we hope that whatever cuts may come, that they may not be too severe, but that our people can recover from it. It is a terrible situation. I've spoken with them, and they had good business booked this year, which they can't get because of the COVID, because of the closure of the airports, because of the risks that are associated. And so they are now looking at a complete loss in terms of this year's season, and therefore having to rebuild, start afresh. So it's almost as if the hotel is shut down again. And so Nevis has had now to go through a second year of this type of trauma. And so certainly I would expect that they would be speaking with their staff and leave it to them as a company to make the requisite decisions. The staff can be assured that my government will continue to provide the support to them. We have done so in the past, so I believe we have some credibility with the staff that we will provide some support as best as we can to assist them through this very difficult period. We have anybody else who's holding? Let's go back to the phones. Good afternoon. Hello? Hello? Okay, that call isn't there. Let's try this one. Good afternoon.
Brother Mark, how you do?
I'm well, thank you.
Good afternoon. Carlton Dupont from St. Kitts.
How are you, my brother? How are you?
Yeah, good show. Thanks to the people, as you mentioned, from Guyana for helping. Thanks to Amri. You see this gentleman, Amri? He has some money. He worked hard. He grew up working around his father and doing well, but he always think about people. I have had the benefit of enjoying things from him in the past, so I am talking from experience. Brother Mark, in this time that we are living in, I want the people of Nevis, I didn't have a chance to tell them to work hard because we are living in critical times. That when they work, try hard no matter how small their income is, save a little $25 or $30 out of it all the time until you could improve. Because when times like these come, we see how easy it is for people to call on the government immediately. Now that don't work in any society, nowhere in the world, not even America. It takes time. So all I'm saying to my people, when you work, save a little bit of your money. Don't jam and wine all your money. So that when things like these happen, you will be able to take a little bit of the shock till later on. If the government can assist you, they assist you. But I will like our people to work hard to become self-sufficient as much as it depends on us. You with me?
Let me ask you a question, Mr. DuPont.
Go ahead.
I made that similar argument. You know, when politicians make arguments, sometimes they come under attack. And
Yes.
the response that I got from some quarters was that, oh, he could talk, he making money. And there's a notion that it seems has developed that if you are in a low income bracket that you cannot save. What do you say to those folks?
If you're in, you're asking me if so, I want to get the question again
Yeah,
from you.
I'm saying that I made a similar argument to the one that you're now making, where we're encouraging our people to save a little something, however small. Put away a little something our grandparents used to tell us for a rainy day. And I'm saying that I was attacked in some quarters for making that suggestion to our people. And the argument was that people who are in lower income jobs, that they cannot save. I'm asking you, what do you say to persons such as those?
Well, first I would like to say to persons such as those is this. While we are living our life, let's say COVID finish, and we start our life over again, we have different things happening. Young people especially, who we call or term as poor people, will always find the monies to go and attend anything they would like to attend. They would live a life where they could buy anything they want to buy, credit as many things as they think they should credit, but perhaps they might not have the affordance. In a situation like this, those of us in a country like St. Kitts and Nevis who have more than others must always help the less fortunate ones. So whatever we can do, we do. But Mark, you know what impressed me? The love of St. Kitts and Nevis people. When is a friend called me and tell me about this program, you know, so I run inside and put it on. He told me it's a good program, go and listen it. So I listened it. Is the way we could show love for each other. For instance, you said the Guyanese help. You say, Amri. I was impressed when I heard you. Everybody say you got money. That's all right. It's your money. Everybody say you got money and you could afford to give up your salary. Well, they do me the same things down here, you know, but hear this, Mark. I want people to know that I grew up in one of the poorest families in Sandy Point.
Mm-hmm.
However, I had a goal. I was motivated in my mind that I want to achieve something, so I used to do different work. Wash down cars, cut sugar cane, and clean up people's yard. And I started saving. I started working for $40, and when I take the money to my mother, I tell her I'm going to keep 20, and she must take 20. My mother told me, no. Take 20 and bank it. save you, hold you 20 to do what you want with it. But of course, in those days, 20 was like 500 today. But Mark, you all doing a wonderful job in Nevis. I am not in the political thing like before, but don't think I'm not listening. God gonna bless you all and see you all through. And before I go off the phone, I want to say this to you. You talk about a fund to provide some food and stuff for the people in Nevis. I have a $5,000 check I like to send over. So you must get somebody to get in touch with me at 661-0037 because I want to do that from my heart. Nobody can tell me what to do with my money because when I don't have, I wouldn't ask them.
661-0037?
My number is 661-0037.
Okay.
Brother Mark, listen me. I live a tough life. God has given me the intestinal fortitude to get over any bump that I have met in my life before. But one thing I can do while I live, I could never see people hungry. Because I know about it. I am speaking from a man who's been through what I'm talking about. So I don't want, so those who could rate me, oh, he could talk, he load of stupidness. He got money. That's how they turn me down here in St. Kitts. It's okay. Before I leave, I want to say something. The people of Cuba, I've never seen any set of people in the world like them. They seem to be always ready to help someone in need. And so what I want the people in the whole Caribbean to do, one of these days when things improve with us, I will be the first to give something. I want us to put something very tangible to show to the people of Cuba. Not only when we're down, we want you, but now we back up, we want to give you this massive gift to assist your people. Since America have less use for you because of whatever the situation, let's find something one of these days. Let's all come together in the entire Caribbean and give something great to the Cuban people. Brother Mark, when I heard the announcement of this sickness, and I heard amount of people coming from Cuba, 32 or 34 people, I would nearly go crazy. I say, the government, I understand, going to pay. That's not the key, you know. The thing is, let's assume the government had told the officials in Cuba, we will even pay down the road later. You know, they will still come, right?
Yes, they would.
So I am saying, the kind of love, I feel so good about the Cuban people, how they always could stretch across these borders and assist the Caribbean people. Let us try hard to do the best to assist them. Mark, continue to do well. And I'll tell you something. I am 58 years. I've lived my life. I spent 34 years as a politician. God showed me that I shouldn't actively engage in politics again. But I have never seen, no time in my life, we are government so concerned about its people. I want to thank you for being a part of a federal cabinet that runs St. Kitts with such fiscal prudence that you all are now able to give something back to the people. But last but not least, I want to say this to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Please don't live your life depending that when anything happened to you, you should run to the government. Have a wonderful afternoon. I really enjoying this program.
Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your very generous offer of $5,000 to help that food relief fund here in Nevis. We're truly grateful to you, and I believe that there's a lot of wisdom in what you have said, and I thank you for a very erudite expression of your views. I go back to this issue about our people being responsible in trying to save, and this notion that poor people, so-called, I don't like the language, but people who are in low income brackets, let me put that they cannot save. And I always smile when I hear that because, like you, Mr. DuPont, I come from one of the poorest families down Hanley's Road, and we didn't have anything. I remember the little house very well up on 4 stones. I remember the old pit latrine up the lane. I remember the old galvanized shed that we used to have to go and bathe in. I remember the old little galvanized area that my mother did her cooking in. That was what we experienced. I have shared publicly that I forever will know that a small tin of Vienna sausage has 7. Forever, I will know that. Because when we opened that small tin, we had to share that one tin for 5 people in the household. And each of us would get one of those little sausages, and we would fight over the 2 that were remaining. That was the nature of our life. But yet somehow, my mother was always able to put away $1 or $2, whether under the bed or in she bag or in she head tie or wherever she had it. And I believe all of us know and have had this experience, where your grandmother, your auntie, or whoever would put their hand down in the bosom and pull out $1 or $2 and give you, say, this for you. Because even in their need, they were able to put something aside. And you make a very valuable point. People may not like to hear it, but it's a valuable point. That people spend money on things that they want to spend it on. And the same people who others are saying can't save, wait till music festival, wait till White Sands. See them when they go out and the way they're dressed and what they're wearing, the phone that they're using. I saw a youngster approach me the other day, and they had a phone, and I said, oh, that's a fancy phone. When they told me the phone, some iPhone 65, I don't even know. What iPhone up to now? iPhone big number. And I had to make an inquiry about the cost, and the phone cost over $3,000 for a cell phone. Now if that were to drop tomorrow, it's gone, mash up. But yet when you say to people, listen, be responsible, people turn around and cuss you. Oh, you're saying that you got money, so you this, you that. And that is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a one-size-fits-all, or that everybody is in the same position. Obviously not. But all of us have known poverty. Who amongst us in Nevis could say we come from money? Because even people who we used to think have money, we now realize they didn't have no money. That's the reality. A lot of people here in Nevis, based on the surname, we say, oh, that person is rich. Rich what? They don't have a thing. They may not dead hungry just like the rest of us. But they had a name. But the reality is that they never had the financial resources to support a lot of our perception of them. So all of us have known deprivation, and all of us have known poverty. People look at me and they say all kind of things about me. And sometimes I say to people, listen, we ought to encourage each other to be successful, you know. You hear Mr. Dupont just say he come from one of the poorest families in Sandy Point. He cut cane, he washed car, he do what he needed to do because he had ambition. He wanted to be better than his circumstances. And he worked towards it, and that is what I always say. If you didn't steal, you didn't engage in no corrupt practices, you didn't steal from anybody, you didn't go out and rob anybody, you worked hard, people ought not to hold your success against you. People ought instead to say, listen, I would like to be successful too, and do it the right way. And do it the right way. I have had a life. So Dupont said he's 50, what? 57, 58? I don't know what he said now. I am 51. Dupont, I'm trying to catch you as quickly as I can. I'm working on it. And I remarked to someone the other day, I was having a little chat with a friend and reminiscing. And I said, I believe that I am the only politician in the entire Caribbean region who has worked as many jobs as I have. Since I was a boy of 13, my father, who lived in New York, said, listen, you want to come up and whatever. And I used to do what they call shape up. I used to go and work summers since a boy of 13. And I have worked as a janitor. Nothing harder than when a toilet block up and you have to go and try and clear it. That was my job. I have worked as a security guard. I have worked as a information desk where people came into the building and I had to provide necessary information. I have worked as a janitorial duties as cleaner in the building, in a building I worked there. And it's till the day I die, I tell my wife even now, don't give me any brass to clean. It's the hardest thing in the world to clean, because they had some big brass desks, tables. You had to clean them. And if the boss came and he run his finger and he find even a smudge, you're in trouble. And when I tell people I've experienced all the ups and downs in life, people say, what do you mean? It's because I was an elevator operator. Getting a freight elevator, going up, going down. Ups and downs in life. I visited New York some years ago. And as I passed by a building that I worked in all those summers, when other people were enjoying their summers, I was at work. And I saw a fella outside, same janitorial duties as I used to do. And he had a little thing with a broom. And he was picking up the cigarette butts. And then he got down on his knees with what we call a scraper. And he had to scrape the chewing gum off the sidewalk. And I said, that was my job for many a year. On my knees in New York, scraping gum off the sidewalk, because you had to keep the perimeter of the building clean. When people pass and they smoke a cigarette and they flick their cigarette, I had to go behind them and clean it up. I'm saying these things to say that, listen, it is not what you're doing, you know. It is where you're going. And throughout all those phases of life, the thing that keeps you and sustains you is your ability to say, okay, I make a $20 here, I put away a 5. I put away a 10, as the case may be. Because at the end of the day, you want to have something that when it comes time to pay down on a little piece of land or pay down on a little house or something tangible that you could have for yourself and your family, that you're in a position to do it. But you cannot achieve that if every bit of disposable income that you have, you use because you want to go and do the nails, you want the hair, you want the latest outfit, you want to go and shop on, what they call the place where they shop on, I don't even know now, Misguided. You want to do all of those things. And too many of our people, ladies and gentlemen, let this be a lesson from COVID. Too many of our people peeping over and watching the neighbor and saying the neighbor got a big TV from Courts, mine got to be bigger. Yeah, some people got 40-inch TV and the house is not much bigger than the 40-inch. And when you say these things, people get vexed with you, but you shouldn't be vexed, because these are lessons. Life is about progression. If you're 25, you can't expect to have what somebody 45 has, because somebody at 45 has worked for much longer than you. Life is about progression. And you must look at people and ask questions and say, listen, how did you achieve that? How did you get there? And learn the lessons. And we must stop telling our people that because you happen today not to be earning as much, you can't save nothing. And so you must live a life in a way that when you get your little pay on a Friday as a construction worker, you have to put $150 aside, because that you're going to drink off. Then when you finish, you go here and you have a little gambling. That you got to do as well. The cigarette, the alcohol, all of those things. And that is where I think a lot of money that could potentially be saying, listen, let me put that in a little kitty there for a rainy day. Let me put that there in case my child gets sick. And our people have somehow strayed away from that and have moved instead to a situation where it is somebody else's responsibility. It is somebody else's fault. And that now seems to be the order of the day. And so, Mr. DuPont, I'm happy for the call to give me an opportunity to say these things, because it points us again into a direction. That's why I'm happy where you say where you start from, a poor boy from Sandy Point. Because a lot of people see you now. Well, they say they see your glory, but they didn't see your journey. They didn't see the steps you went through, the things that you did, the sleepless nights, the hard days. When I worked in the States, I used to work a shift, they call it the graveyard shift. 1 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. And I will tell you, I worked that shift for years, and I always said to myself, let me sleep in the day. Let me get a 2-3 hours sleep so that no matter how much you sleep, something in your body tell you that when 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning come, your body starts to shut down on you. And you have to fight it because you're at work. And sometimes, you know why I used to like the graveyard shift? Because the next shift's supposed to come in for 8 o'clock. And anytime there's a problem, and a fella call and say he can't make it, they will turn to me and they say, Mark, you want to work the extra shift? And that was like music to my ears. And I know there have been on occasions where I work 3 shifts because when that extra shift ended at 4, somebody supposed to come in at 4 can't make it. They ask me again, Mark, you want to work that shift? And so I go 1 o'clock, that's my shift. I reach to 8, I work another shift. I reach to 4, I work back up again to my shift. And that is what you do. Because all along I had it in my mind that I want to eat a whole tin of Vienna sausage one of these days. Yeah. And I remember the day when I ate a first tin for myself. It's the best thing I ever eat in my life. Whole tin. I eat 7. 7. Clean it up. When you first eat a tin of sardine for yourself, you can't believe it. It's like coming of age. And I say these things because I want our people to understand. Life is a progression, but you have to build a foundation. You have to build a foundation. You can't just expect BAP that you're now 30-something and 40-something and whatever. I was personally astounded when I heard people say that if they don't get their pay such and such a day, they cannot even buy some groceries. And I say, why? And the answer is because they have nothing in terms of any savings, nothing at all, at all, at all. And again, I say it is not everybody is in the position, but at least in our thinking and what we're saying to our children, we must encourage them to say, listen, put a little thing. That's why they used to have a little thing they call a piggy bank. And when you get a 5 cents or 25 cents, whatever it may be, you put it in your piggy bank. So that from a young age, that's why the banks introduced the young savers accounts and things like that. Saving is an important practice. It was part of our social and socio-cultural situation here in the country. And I said at some point it appears that we've strayed away from it. So most people now are credit. Let me go credit something from Courts. Let me credit something from hospitals. Let me credit something from TVC. Let me go fast cash and get something. And then now at the end of the month, when you parcel out all that money, you have nothing left to eat. You can't eat a TV, you know, 40-inch. It may look good, but you can't eat it. So wouldn't it be wise to get maybe a smaller TV and save some of that money? These are some of the things, and I think we need to think. It's not always about trying to keep up with Jones because you don't know where Jones get his or hers from. Set your own goals. Set your pace and work towards it. You will fall short from time to time. That's life. But you know you're working towards a goal. And be disciplined in terms of what we do. And I believe that we will be all right if we're able to do that. The numbers to call, 469-1616. Let's go back to the phones. Good afternoon. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Okay. Thank you. Mark?
Yes, brother.
Hello. Mark?
Yes, yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
And do point again, it slipped me. I had this on my paper, but I didn't remember to tell you. I just look at it and see it. The young people in Nevis must work hard to make sure when they have a job, don't forget to pay their social security. Because I have been hearing about too many situations in St. Kitts where people have grown, lived their life, working, ignore the social security payment, and when they reach a certain age and they begin to think about paying, it's too late, and then they have to work hard for somebody to get them through a little kind of some system they say social security have. I don't know nothing about social security where they call it some kind of special thing where you get a little something even though you didn't contribute. I want people to understand. Young people of Nevis, listen to DuPont. When you are working, don't forget to take a little something and go down to the Social Security and pay, even if you're self-employed, doing a garden in the back of your yard, making money. Social Security, to my mind, is not taken as serious as it should by a lot of our people. Mark, I'm going off the radio now. I want somebody else to get a chance. I have never paid Social Security looking to get something when I reach 62. I pay into the fund because I believe it's part of my duty to do so, because something can happen to me down the road while I am paying. And I'll be able to get a little something before I reach 62. This is how it appeared to me, like people look at Social Security. Oh man, me got to pay Social Security something. Me not even gonna get nothing till me 62. I believe too many people not training themselves and educating themselves enough of the relevance of Social Security. So I just thought I should call back and ask the people of Nevis to please think about working, and please pay something to Social Security and understand what it's about. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that as well. Another excellent point. It goes back to the theme of our people being responsible. Because if anybody had any doubt about the reason for Social Security, I believe this COVID-19 thing has demonstrated. Because Tutmun Saman Bagay has been lining up to get a check from Social Security. Part of that stimulus was the $15 million that Social Security has put aside to try and assist persons with replacing some of the income that they would have lost. And so whether you're self-employed, you're employed and been laid off, whatever the case may be, Social Security has stepped up in a big way. And part of the concern that they've expressed is what you're saying, that many who never paid a penny are now standing in the line to collect. Many who all the years they worked never thought it was important to pay are now in the line to collect. And so this COVID-19, I tell you now, it has a lot of lessons for all of us if we're only prepared to pay heed, to pay attention. Because this has demonstrated that some of the practices which have taken hold in our society, that those practices are unhelpful. And the lack of discipline and the lack of responsibility. I mean, you got fellas up and down 5, 6, 7, 10 children and can't support one. People don't like to hear these things, but that is the reality. 7, 8 picnic can't support one. But they pat themselves on the shoulder and say, boy, I'm a big man, you know, so much children me have. But children need food. They need to go to school. They need to be sustained. And these are the things that we must start to talk about if we're going to change our society in a positive way and become more responsible in our behavior. These are the things. And we must live our life in such a way that, yes, there will be people. Somebody said to me that the word poor or poverty appears in the Bible a large number of times. And therefore, since biblical times, we've had the poor with us. Some people are poor for a number of reasons. They were born with some handicap. They had the kind of life where they never had an opportunity, they never had a chance for education, a number of things. And so we appreciate that in every society you will have persons. I have been to the great United States of America, to Washington, D.C., where the seat of power, not only in America, but in the world, resides. And I see homeless people sleeping in the doors of buildings as you drive by. In winter, you go in New York, they go down into the subway to try and get a little warmth. These are countries that have plenty. And so we recognize that the poor will be with us. And that is why the social safety nets are so important, to ensure that our people who find themselves in that circumstance, that they have, the society is there to assist them and to protect them. and provide the necessary safety net for them. But let COVID teach us some lessons, and let us take those lessons to heart, that we have to now become more responsible about what we do, more disciplined in what we do, because we know not what tomorrow is going to bring, whether it's going to be a new influenza, a new form of crisis. We are going into hurricane season starting in June. Again, we will have to fall on our knees to beg Jehovah God for his mercy, that we can get through this year without further calamity, because who knows what this hurricane season will bring. And so as you see in the back of COVID, as we hope to, bam, you have hurricane season on you. And so our people, I think these are times when we're being tested, and things that we used to do, actions that we used to take, attitudes that we developed, I believe we need to reevaluate and determine now what is the best way forward for ourselves, our families, our communities, and our island. And that is what we're seeking to do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special show on Sundays from the hour of 4 until 5:30. We have only about 15 minutes left. We'll take some calls if persons want to say something at 469-1616, 469-1700. I thank Mr. Carlton DuPont who called in. He's indicating that he's contributing $5,000 to the Food Relief Fund for the most vulnerable on the island of Nevis. We're up to $16,800 for this month. So that amount, Mr. DuPont, is welcomed. It will really be able to provide for a substantial number of families. We thank you for your contribution. Let's go back to the phones. Good afternoon. Okay, we've lost that caller. Caller, if you can call back, 469-1616.
Good afternoon.
Yes?
Good afternoon, Mr. Brantley.
Good afternoon to you.
This is your friend from St. Kitts Dumpling.
How are you, my dear?
Oh, I love you so much. What Mr. Jupan is saying, he's saying the truth. Because Mr. Jupan is a businessman. He's my friend. I rallied with him when he was in election. And after he gets him to knockout, I told him to done. Give up your jacket.
Yes.
And go back to do your earring and ring and all kind of thing. Let me ring for when I got married. And every year he made sure he put food on the table for me. When I get the house, he's the first. Give me some money, tell me, put food in your cupboard. So he will help you with anything. But he's the guy that can knock out when they borrow him money. Mr. Bradley, put God first and ask him, the gentleman for the radio station, to play back the tape with the governor for Central Bank. Let him hear how he said he was struggling and so on. So, Nevis people, I know are you good, are you could save. Because my grandparents used to save, and I had an auntie there, even my help me, she used to took place. She used to say, you're going to buy Boston bookshop, to buy everything and leave something here. You understand? So, Mr. Bradley, talk to the people then. You're going good. You're going with good. Don't study nobody where they say about you. I love you. Dumpling love you. See you. Bye.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Dumpling loves me and I love Dumpling. That could be said in so many different ways, Dumpling, thank you for your call, as always. Let me go back to the phone. Good afternoon. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hey, Dumpling. Good afternoon, good night, down there, everybody. You must get called in. Everybody gonna know you. You're the biggest dumpling in St. Kitts. And, hey, Susie, feel up down with you. See you later.
All right. Okay, it is 20 minutes or so past the hour of 5 o'clock. We're only going to 5:30. Let's go back to the phone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You like dumpling, you want it. People them up and take the blanket in the bread.
Up where?
Ramsbury Pasture.
Ramsbury Pasture?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know that at all because I was told that everybody got.
No.
Matter of fact, they went back around a second time and tried to help. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Okay, 20 minutes past. We're taking some calls at 469-1616, 469-1700. If you want to be a part of the show, we go until 5:30. Let's do that again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I'm a livestock farmer.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. Go ahead.
So I already see nothing about the livestock farming, where they could get their food.
Where the livestock farmers could get their food?
Yeah, for the animals.
I'm not understanding you. What kind of livestock you're raising?
Animal, like sheep, goat, pig.
So, well, the sheep and goat, what they eat? Now grass?
Yeah.
So, I don't understand. You're confusing me.
Everybody needs to get them grain.
Grain?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you're not feeding them on grass anymore. You're feeding them on grain.
No. They feed them grass and grain.
Ah, okay. Got you now. I was confused. Okay.
No.
Well, pigs, I know that you get food from the supply office, right? Is that where you're accustomed to buy from?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good question. What I will do is I will try and get some information in terms of what agriculture might be doing in conjunction with the supply office. So listen out for something. I'll make a note.
Okay.
Because that question had not come up. So thank you for that. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we see even sometimes you think you have figured it all out, you realize that you have not. So we'll have to look at that for you, sir. And thank you very much for the call. I believe that we will look to see what is possible through the supply office to see how we can assist further our livestock farmers. We have, as I said, waived most of the fees at the abattoir, so we know that getting your meat to market is a lot cheaper than it was prior to COVID. Let's go back to the phones. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Brantley.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I want to congratulate this gentleman with the bakery in 60. I call him personally, right? I'm with bakery. And I thank him too, because when I look to see that the school bus and them and outside and they giving the bread and stuff, I felt good to see that somebody from Sinky with such a heart. And I went over by the thing over by Owali, and I saw the bus, them going down with Alexis right there watching them, and picking up the bread. They had a nice warm bread, they had a pork bread, and they had buns. And then there wasn't enough or whatever, and he still sent over again. I really, really, really appreciate it. I only take one because I not really the bread, but you a very, very good gesture, Mr. Bradley. And
yes.
And I really, really want to congratulate him. And I felt good and feel good to see. He don't have a bakery over here. He don't have nowhere to sell him bread over here. And he said he's not interested. I talked to him personally. He said not interested to sell any bread over here. He do it from the love of his heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good man.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And I think that we certainly agree. A lot of people have been stepping up to the plate, and Mr. Ernest Amry stepped up in a huge way. So we're grateful to him for that. Again, just before we wrap up the show, if you want to call, we still have about 6 minutes left. 469-1616, 469-1700. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brantley. When forces last people, they gonna get paid?
You're gonna get what?
Paid off.
Well, I don't know, caller. I can't tell you what. I can't sort of prejudge what's going to happen. I'm told that Four Seasons will be having some meetings. When those meetings are over, then we will know what is going to happen. The government will do what the government has to do to support its workers and to support the people of Nevis, as we've always done. I cannot today tell you what the government is going to do because I don't know yet what we're dealing with insofar as Four Seasons is concerned. Okay? So let's try and be a little patient. Once we know what we're dealing with, then we could answer those questions. Okay? All right. Thank you for that. Let's go back to the phone. Good afternoon. Hello?
Good afternoon. I would like to know when you hand sanitizer and mask from the distributors.
Yeah. Excellent question. We have delayed the distribution, and I apologize for that, but the problem has been getting our masks. We have ordered masks. The masks were sitting on the docks now. We're told for the past, this is the third week, And every morning I'm on the phone trying to get them out to us. Yesterday I was told that the masks have finally shipped. And so I am holding my fingers and toes crossed. I have reached out here to TDC. Mr. Ernie France has been very helpful because DHL is the agency that is transporting the masks for us. We have delayed because we didn't want to bring hand sanitizer and then have to come back to bring the mask. We wanted to do it in a single package. So please bear with us. We are told the masks are finally on their way. I'm hopeful that that is the case because apparently shipping has been badly disrupted. So as soon as we have something, caller, we will make an announcement so that people will know. Okay? We just about 5 minutes left on the show. 469-1616, 469-1700 if you want to call. Just to remind the public that currently we have 24 persons in quarantine in Nevis. We have tested 98. We have 94 negatives, 4 positives. We've released 214 persons from quarantine, and we have 0 pending tests. The 24 persons now in quarantine are largely the students that have come home from Jamaica. We pray and hope that they're comfortable and that their parents are satisfied with the accommodation that has been provided to them, and we will work hard to make sure that they are safe and secure. Let's go back to the phone. Good afternoon. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My friend. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Hello?
This is Tony.
Yes, Tony, go ahead.
Mr. Van, there about the problem on you with
You're fading in and out. Are you on a cell phone?
Yeah, I'm on a cell.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I had a problem in the 10th of May last year. The 3 months into the 10th of the year, I had my next problem in the 10th of May.
Tony, I'm having real difficulty hearing you. You're cracking up badly.
Oh, the signal there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but you're going in and out. You say you had a problem since last year.
Yeah, the 10th.
What the problem is?
The 10th of May, my neck.
Sugar City St. Kitts. Keep it sweet.
My neck, the factor went in the hospital.
And
I didn't serve no justice. I went to the police to find out when they're going to serve me a notice to go to court. So on, they tell me to send the medical on to the public prosecutor, and I didn't receive no answer.
Okay, Tony, that's a personal matter. I'll tell you what, call me 662-6003, okay? As soon as the show finish, call me and discuss that privately with me, because I don't know the situation and I don't want you set things on the air, okay? 662-6003, all right? So call me, give me about 5 minutes after the show finish, and we can talk, okay? Okay, brother. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we only have 2 minutes left. I think we're winding down this show. I was just indicating that we have no new cases, no pending results. I believe we've made good progress on the island of Nevis, but we remain cautious. Just again to remind that on Tuesday, heads of departments and senior staff of the NIA are required to show up for work. They will prepare the ground then for a general reopening on May 11th, and we will have to ensure that social distancing and perhaps even a shift system is put in place to keep our people safe. And then the food relief fund, we have now $16,800. Today we had a pledge of another $5,000. So for this month we expect to have, therefore, 5 and 16 is $21,800 being made available for food for individuals, and those vouchers will be prepared and will be distributed accordingly to the most vulnerable in the community. No photo ops, no bags of groceries, just a genuine effort to help. And that is what we'll be seeking to do, so that people can go to the grocery and buy what they need from the grocery. Again, to remind those who are the recipients of these vouchers, they are for food only. They are for food only. And there's no cash back. So you can't go and say give you the balance in cash, because these are redeemable for food. And so we invite persons to be responsible in that regard. I have also to remind you that the consultation on the Pinnis Park, the EIA consultation, will happen on Tuesday, this Tuesday, right here on Van Radio, starting at 10 a.m. You're asked to call in Dr. Janice Hodge will be here. In addition, Vincent Lai, who's the expert from Taiwan, and Camille Kelly, a local architect who's been working on the project, and John Handley, the prominent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, will be the one to moderate that effort. And so one and all are asked to call in as we try to kickstart that project, which, as we know, has been delayed because of COVID more recently. And so we would like to get that project off the ground so that as soon as we have an all clear, we can move about and get that project done. The project is ready. It is just a question now of finalizing the EIA, finalizing the consultation, and therefore being able to move forward. Schools remain closed. Schools remain closed. Please continue to listen for updates, but while schools remain closed, we will continue to ensure that our students do not have any diminution in the quality of their education. And we've moved the education out of a virtual platform where students using Flow Study will be able to access their teachers, access the learning, access all that they need to access from primary all the way up to secondary. Students who do not have a device at home to access that will be provided with one, and the families that do not have internet at home will be provided with internet. The whole idea is that no child will be left behind, no family will be left behind, and we will be looking out for everyone. That, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to 5:30. I want to thank again Von Radio and Weber Herbert for allowing us this time here on Sundays to try and bring some comfort and to answer some questions. I recognize the questions are getting fewer and fewer, and so it might suggest that people are now satisfied in terms of the information that they have. This show is not intended to last. This is just a show for this particular period. And once we're given the all clear, I will bid you goodbye from this show and, of course, deal only with the Wednesday show on the mark, which has been a staple here for many years. But I'm grateful to Von and to its management for the opportunity, and we look forward to continuing to work with you to answer your questions and to assuage any concerns that you might have. Continue to stay safe. Continue to wash your hands with soap and water. Use your hand sanitizer where you don't have soap and water. Continue, please, to stay indoors, and continue when you go outdoors to wear a mask. Please respect and adhere to the requirements, and let us all continue to be disciplined and responsible. We can and will beat COVID. It's now